Hi, and welcome. This is a real quick video to help you be able to understand how to use virtualization on any of the CSIT computers in the department. Some are going to be much better at doing this than the others. 270 and 271 are going to be your best options, followed by 279. 277 is going to be your weakest option to use this. So the very first thing we want to do is we want to open VMware Workstation, and in here you're going to go to Edit and Preferences, and you're going to change the Workspace. Okay, you want to change that to the data drive, and that's going to be in 270, 271, and 279. I don't know in 277 if we have a data drive in there. If there is a data drive, use that. If not, change it to do it to the desktop. Okay, in this particular case I want to make a new folder on here called my username, and that is now going to be my workspace for all of my virtual machines. Alright, so I'll hit OK. Now the next thing that I want to do after I've done that is there was an issue with our CSIT fixed drives, but those should be showing up now. So we have the CSIT fixed and CSIT shared. We're going to come into the fixed drive, and we are going to look for the pre-built OSs, and in this case I'm going to use the VMware, and I'm going to grab this one right here, Windows 10 pre-built, and I'm going to drag this to the data directory as well. That'll just make it a little bit easier for other people to use as well if they want to use that. So that's going to come down. Shouldn't take too awful long to come down, even if there's multiple people in the lab. It is a 1 gigabit connection, but we actually have 4 gigabits back to the NAS. So multiple people downloading this, it'll get sluggish, but it won't take too long. So I'm going to pause this for just a second. Okay, we're back. Didn't take very long for me to download that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my data, and I'm going to look at this Windows 10, and I can do a couple different things. I can just double click on this, and that'll open it up, and we should be able to import it here, or we can come in to File and say Open and search for it that way. And we're going to do an import on this is what we're going to do, but I'm just going to double click on the smaller one, this OVF file. That's what it is. That's Open Virtualization Format Package. So I'm going to double click on that, and it's going to say, what do you want to use? You absolutely positively want to open it with VMware Workstation, not VMware Player. I'm going to hit OK. Now it's going to ask me what I want to do, what I want to call this. So I know there's some people that want to set up like a lamp stack, so I'm going to call it lamp stack. I'm not going to get into versioning and snapshots and all of that. I can leave that to your instructor. Some of you that have had me before, I will call this something like base, and then I'll make clones off of it. So whatever you want to do, you can experiment with this. By the way, LAMP stands for Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP, because ultimately the instructor that is requesting this is wanting you to install a LAMP stack, a XAMPP stack. So I'm going to click on Import. It's going to take a few minutes, so I'm going to pause and I'll be back. It won't be too long. The fastest computers, again, 270, 271, followed by, this is all being done on 279, but those other computers are tremendously fast, fastest on campus, as a matter of fact. So I'll be right back. Okay, here we are, we're back. I got another few items that you really should probably pay attention to. For example, you got memory. You can change those memory constraints if you want. I would recommend setting everything up and then doing that. If you're in 270, 271, you have 32 gigabytes of RAM. On these computers, if I recall, you got 16 gigs. Let me see. Yeah, you got 16 gigs on 279. I think it's 16 gigs on 277 as well. But here's the big one you want to change if it's not already set up this way. This goes if you install off an ISO package. You want to make sure that you have selected bridged and not NAT. If you select bridged, you're going to be able to communicate from your host to your guest. If you check on NAT, you're going to have a whole bunch of other configuration you want to do. So anytime you're setting stuff up, make sure it says bridged, and you'll be good to go. All right, you can play around with any of this. I'm going to power this up, and I'm not going to keep recording all. I will unpause when I hit a couple of crucial points in importing this. Okay, so at this point, Cortana is going to be a little bit of a pain in the neck, probably kind of irritating you a little bit. You can just, in a few minutes, you have an opportunity to turn that digital assistant that I don't think anybody on the planet uses off. So just be patient. Right, so you're going to just walk through and click the defaults on this stuff. So we want United States, US keyboard. We can skip the layout because it'll just be default. Notice down there it says install the versions of VMware is not up to date. Once everything is done, you do want to update those tools. I'll show you how to do that once we're there. Actually, I can kind of show you now while we're waiting. Once it's booted up, you're going to click on VMware, and you can come down to update tools if you miss this. So you're going to accept the license. And now it's going to ask you to sign in with your Microsoft credentials, but you don't need to do that, okay? Don't sign in here. Down in the bottom left-hand corner right here it says join domain instead. So you're going to click on join domain instead. And now what you're going to do is you're going to create a user for this domain. In my case, I'm going to call it Mike. Going to ask me for a password. One of the things that I do is I never use strong passwords in my testing environments. They all require it, and I get tired of typing in my strong passwords, and I also don't want to let it slip in front of you all what one of my actual passwords is. So I announced to the class that my password is PASSWORD !, and then I put that in again, PASSWORD !. So I let everybody know that that's what I use. Then you got to do the security questions. Oh, come on. That's first name. Choose a question. This is unavoidable, unfortunately. It's just a win. This is why I do a base too. There we go. And at this point in time, it's going to ask about Cortana and yada, yada, yada. And I'm going to say no to a lot of these different things. Oftentimes, I turn all of this off. Let's go ahead and click accept in the interest of time. So it's going to take just a minute. So I'm going to pause again, and I'll be back in just a few. Notice how quick, honestly, this is going in general. It's not going to take very long. Okay, so here we are, we're back. There's a couple of really big things that you need to know about this pre-built image that I talked about a few minutes ago. For example, you might want to turn off automatic updates. So to do that, you're going to click in here and say okay. I'm going to click in here again. I want to say update. Maybe it's Windows Update. Well, anyways, wherever Windows Update is, you might want to go in and turn it off. There we go. Windows Update settings. So you might want to make sure that you get this turned off. I think it's under advanced. So you're just going to make sure you turn all those off if they're not off. And the reason you want to turn those off for this, I mean, you can update it if you want, but inevitably it's going to update automatically. It is about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, a year and a half out of date at this point. So if you want to update it, you can, and I'll make a new image when I have some time. But this is development, so it's okay. Then the other thing you want to do is, if you still have this open, you can click on Update Tools. It's not going to take very long to do this. If it doesn't appear, you need to go to the File Explorer or Windows Explorer. And here it is right here. You're going to click on that. And we're going to say yes. And you're just going to walk through this. At this point, you can do any and everything that you need. There we go. Just kind of click through. It'll have to do reboot whenever this is done. But you have full 100% control over everything in this guest environment. So remember, anything in here is a guest. And out here, this is my host. This is my host computer. It's my physical computer. I don't want to blow your mind too much, but I'm actually remoting into this from home. So I'm remoting in to a computer, and I'm doing some work, right? So at this point, it's going to reboot. That should only take a few seconds. Sorry about that. That is that remote stuff kind of coming through at this point. Now there's some pretty neat things that you can do. For example, you can set up drag and drop from your host desktop. There we go. What's my password? That's why I like these passwords, right? There we go. So I don't know if it's set up by default, but you might be able to kind of do a drag and drop from your host computer to your guest computer. It doesn't look like I have that configured, but that is something that you can do. Oh, there it is. It just took a few minutes to kick in. So I can do that. So I can easily get something over there if I want, right? And it works the other way as well, instead of having to set up anything fancy. However, you can come in and download everything that you need. You can connect out to the internet just like you normally would. You can go to Apache Friends to download XAMPP, or you can download amps, or whatever it is you're wanting to do. And then you can adjust your firewalls, right? The whole 9 yards. By the way, never, ever, 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 ever turn off a firewall. So you go into advanced firewall settings, and you can adjust everything that you need in here to access from your host or anywhere in the classroom, truly anywhere in the CSIT labs, any of the department labs. You can do what you need. So here is Apache Friends. Don't know what you'll be using. 7, 8. I don't know what you're going to use. I'm using 8 personally at the moment, so I download that and I can set everything up. A quick word about this. You might have to install some dependencies. For those of you that are going to follow along and do this, you might have to install some dependencies in here, such as redistributed C++. And then the other thing that I would recommend doing after you're done is making sure that you do a quick reboot. When this, I know it sounds weird, but when this is done, just do yourself a favor and do a real quick reboot, and then everything should work pretty quick for you. Okay. Sure, I'll apply that. There we go. Don't really need to be in doing that. All right, so when this pops up, it's going to say, hey, do you want to allow the firewall? And you're going to say, yes, I want to allow the firewall both in public and private, so you can access this locally as well. You'll never be able to access this remotely unless you have some type of VPN set up, and usually I think those get crushed. So there's the control panel. Again, one of the things I recommend you do before you do anything else is you do a quick restart on this. guest machine. Okay, so I'm restarted. Shouldn't have taken very long at all. I cut it out for you though. So I'm going to bring it back up. And at this point, it should start up down here. The control panel should start up. If it doesn't, I'll show you where to start that up. So I'll give it just a minute. Your instructor can show you this as well. It is under the C drive. It's still kind of loading something there. It's under the C drive, under XAMPP, and there should be a XAMPP start. And we'll say allow that. Oh, control, that's what I wanted. My bad. It automatically went ahead and started some other stuff. I can start FileZilla and whatever else I need in there. I can start that stuff up, on and off. There we go. I'll start Apache back up because I crushed that a minute ago. So there we go. So at this point, kind of everything is up and running. I should be able to go to 127. 0.0.1, and there is the Apache dashboard, so I'm good to go. I will let your instructor take over from here because we can do all kinds of other stuff at this point. Have a wonderful day. If you have any questions, please ask your instructor. They are the ones that asked you to do this. I don't know what they want you to do with it, so please contact them and they'll be able to guide you through it. If you have any general questions about VMware or anything, please let me know. Don't forget you do have access to this for free. Alrighty. Have a great day.